We're going to make our sewing sampler pattern. So right here I have my handout with the instructions. So I'm going to be following this as I do our sewing sample pattern. So you're going to need just a piece of paper, doesn't really matter what the paper is, a pair of paper scissors, a ruler, and then some sort of marking tool, preferably a pencil. So we just need to draw a rectangle. It can be anywhere on the page that is 8 inches by 2 inches. Now, one of the reasons that I like this particular type of ruler is that I know that it is 2 inches wide. There's quite a few measurements on this particular ruler that I just know where they are because I've used it so often. So we need a rectangle that is 8 inches. So I'm just going to draw from one end to 8. I know this is 2 inches wide. So I'm going to do the short end, rotate this, confirm that I am 2 inches. Yep, sure am. Rotate this way. And what's nice is this ruler is see-through, so I can just line up this line right here with the 8-inch line, put it right on top, and I know that everything is perfectly square. Draw that. Boom. Okay, so now I have my rectangle. In just a minute, I'm gonna cut it out, but we wanna add some notations on here so that we know what this is. You're gonna wanna keep up with this piece of paper because it is what you're using for all of your projects going forward for your sampler. So the next step we need to do is we need to draw a grain line, which is a straight line down the middle. We'll talk more about grain in a minute. But we're gonna draw that down the middle. This is 2 inches wide, and I know that this line right here is 1 inch. So to get my line exactly in the middle, I just have to line up this middle line with this edge. So I'm just gonna draw a line from one end to the other on the long side. Make sure your arrow is going this direction. Put a little arrowhead on each side to indicate that this is the grain. Okay, so grain line is down the middle as pictured. Now we need to add seam allowance notations to this pattern. So we're gonna put plus 5/8 on one long side. This is the side that we're gonna be using the most. And then we also need to do it on one of the short sides. So we'll put plus 5/8 over here. Personally, I really love to put a little circle around my seam allowance notation so I can find it quick and easy. Now on this short side, we also want to add an additional note for us to remember for later because we only need seam allowance on this short side one time. So this is for straight stitch only. Very messy, but you can still tell what's going on there, okay? Now, the last thing that I need to put on here before I cut all of this out is pattern information so that we know whose pattern this is and what it is. So we're gonna start off by writing name, legibly so that I know that it's you, first name and last name, dash, class name, THE 253, sewing sampler pattern. I'm running out of space, so I can actually continue it down here. The next information I need to write is cut to, because for many of the patterns, we're gonna cut to. And I'll write NSA. NSA stands for no seam allowance. That means that this pattern does not include seam allowance because we have to manually add it on. So now all we need to do is just cut this out and we're gonna speed through that. Now that our pattern is cut out, we wanna check and make sure that it is still the correct size by measuring it. So this is 2 inch wide ruler and it is an 8 inch long pattern. Get everything lined up nice. Yep, 2 by 8, it's the right size, we're good to go. Make sure when you are cutting that you are cutting very carefully so that your lines are nice and clean and straight because it's gonna be really important for when you're using this pattern on your fabric later.